Exorcism and its roots, and the exorcist and his role. Now remember, if you read the Old Testament of the Holy Bible, and I can't remember if it's in the book of Exodus or Deuteronomy or Leviticus, but there was something called the living water. And when people used to go to Moses or his helpers with some kind of a grievance, and there were those who were telling the truth, there were those who were telling the lies. And people would go for justice, to find justice. And Moses and his helpers didn't know how to tell them apart. So they would go and give them living water. And whoever was telling the truth, nothing would happen to them. But whoever was lying would have tremendous problems with his health and things in his life. So whoever took the living water and was lying was actually piling curses onto himself. So exorcism was actually around from that time. Actually, it was a way of confession. Now, in the Christian Orthodox faith, at the end of the Holy Confession, the priest reads an exorcism prayer over the person that goes for confession. He actually reads an exorcism prayer. So, the exorcism is the act of expelling demons or other evil spiritual entities that possess or take control of the person or place. Yes, even a place, even animals, or even a location. The term exorcism refers to the sanctifying act of removing these entities through religious rituals and prayers. The term exorcism comes from the Greek word meaning to make someone swear, and refers primarily to the exorcist forcing a supposed spirit to obey a higher power. In the case of Christianity, of course, is Jesus Christ. Now, exorcism and its roots of origin. The practice of exorcism has a long historical origin and does not seem to be an exclusive practice of Catholics or Orthodox Christians, as we usually see in films. It's thought that it may date back to prehistoric shamanistic beliefs. Shamanism is said to be an ancient religious system, but it is essentially considered a mystical experience rather than a religion, which is based on the worship of nature, belief in spirits, and various therapeutic practices, such as trance. And it stems from the belief that man, and especially the shaman, magician, healer, has the ability to directly communicate with nature, the transcendental world, and the spirits that exist or coexist and invisibly reside around us. The root of shamanism, the roots are said to date back to the foraging era, that is roughly speaking 12,000 years ago and earlier, while it's widely believed that the shaman has a spirit or a group of spirits as his assistant to protect him and to guide him. The similarities between an exorcist and a shaman are striking, as in both cases the person performing the exorcism can communicate with invisible spirits or demons and has a higher power or higher spirit as a guide or assistant. Exorcism is present throughout the Christian New Testament, as Jesus includes exorcism among some of the miracles he performed. In early Christian times, a ritual of exorcism was performed on catechumens just before their baptism and was entrusted to 7 deacons. It's important to note that the conception of exorcism is not limited to a specific culture or religion, but is found across a variety of cultures and belief systems. The purpose of exorcism is to free individuals or places from demonic possession or influence, thereby restoring spiritual well-being. The phenomenon of demonism, being demon-possessed, in other words, demonic influences and witchcraft, has also been a topic of discussion in recent years, leading to increased interest in exorcism. Fear of the unknown and the survival of ancient beliefs contribute to the continued practice of exorcism in different societies. The demonization of some people cannot be dated, but we can assume that it predated exorcism, hence the need for a way to expel the spirit that has taken possession of the body of the demonized person. However, it's important to approach the subject of exorcism with critical thinking and cultural sensitivity, recognizing that beliefs and practices may differ between different cultures and religions, of course. Exorcism and its scientific validity. Despite the ongoing practice of exorcism, there is ongoing debate about its effectiveness and scientific validity. Skeptics argue that the manifestation attributed to demonic possession can be explained by physiological or medical conditions, and that they have nothing to do with the demons and whatever. Now, the Catholic Church, for example, conducts investigations before proceeding with an exorcism to determine whether the possession case is genuine, that is, it is not related to psychological disorder. It's important to approach the issue of exorcism with an understanding of its cultural and religious context, respecting the beliefs and practices of different communities, while also considering possible scientific explanations. The study of exorcism provides information about the human experience of dealing with and attempting to overcome perceived spiritual threats, as these may not be due to demonism but to some mental illness or something else. Exorcist and his role. Definition of exorcist. The exorcist's role is not to deal with the belief of demonic possession. He is certain of it, so he goes ahead and performs the exorcism. The exorcist can be a priest or a person with special powers and abilities. In the later case, however, the person who performs the exorcism and is not recognized by any church can easily be accused of charlatanism, of course. The role of the exorcist, therefore, is to use a combined approach of magical and technical practices to confront and ultimately neutralize possession. Exorcist education and qualifications. Exorcists are required to have special training qualifications to deal with a person being possessed by a spirit. Many priests and other spiritual leaders receive training in theology and spiritual training to be able to deal with possession and perform exorcisms. Consequently, there are different approaches and techniques used by exorcists in order to achieve the desired result, which they believe is to expel the demon or even the devil that is tormenting the vulnerable person. It's also obvious that the symbols adopted to perform an exorcism, such as the cross in Christianity, may be different in other religions, religious systems, or beliefs, depending on the education qualification of the exorcist. The purpose, in theory, remains approximately the same. Now, the controversies and debates surrounding exorcism, skepticism, and criticism of exorcism. The practice of exorcism has been the subject of debate and discussion for centuries. Skepticism and criticism surround the concept of exorcism, with some viewing it as a superstitious and outdated belief that no longer holds up in the face of modern scientific research, although the idea of demonic possession and the need for exorcism can be traced back to ancient shamanistic beliefs and practices. Religious and ethical concerns also come into play when discussing exorcism, and some argue that the practice may violate an individual's autonomy and personal beliefs, as it involves invoking supernatural powers to expel evil spirits. And additionally, there are concerns about the potential psychological harm that can be caused by attributing certain behaviors or mental health problems to demonic possession. And that is, if it's not demonic possession but a disorder, then the patient's health may deteriorate or their life may be in immediate danger. And these perspectives contribute to ongoing debates surrounding the practice of exorcism. Exorcism and exorcists in popular culture. Exorcism has also found its place in popular culture and the representatives of several media. The concept of exorcism has been depicted in various forms of art, literature, and film, and they often cause a sensation when dramatizing the process. The cultural significance of exorcism can be seen in its depiction in popular media such as cinema in the 1973 film The Exorcist, which became the highest grossing horror film of all time. And this film, based on a true story, brought the concept of exorcism to public attention. And movies like the one mentioned above here, as well as books, have brought the practice of exorcism into mainstream consciousness. However, these depictions may not always accurately reflect the actual rituals and procedures involved in exorcism. They are simply used to add interest and suspense. The depiction of exorcism in cinema can perpetuate misconceptions and stereotypes, further fueling debates about its validity and effectiveness. And it's important to recognize that depictions of exorcism in popular culture may not align with the beliefs and practices of different religious traditions. So, in summary, the role of the exorcist and the practice of exorcism. An exorcist is usually a priest or a person believed to possess special powers and skills. They perform exorcisms using a combination of religious and magical rituals, possibly originating from the shamans to expel evil spirits from a possessed person. In early Christian times, the rite of exorcism was entrusted to the 7 deacons and was performed on catechumens before their baptism. The role of the exorcist is deeply rooted in religious traditions and beliefs, while their practices vary between different cultures and religions, of course. And it's important to note that the role of the exorcist and the practice of exorcism are not universally accepted or recognized by all churches, and their legitimacy in some of them is still a matter of debate. And this is information from Wikipedia and Protothema. Please leave your comments about this, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.